Hey guys, we are in the basement and this is a very special John's Arcade video. This is my 100th video. Can you believe it? I have done 100 of these stupid ass videos. Yes, it's true. So we're going to use this as an opportunity here to do a year-end review. As of October 2012, we're going to take a year-end tour of the arcade and go from game to game to game and talk about each one and really just take our time and just talk about why each one's great and why it's down here. And then if we have some time, we'll probably explore elsewhere in the basement. And then also make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video because I got some congratulatory videos from my podcasting friends, including Michelle and Matt from the Video Game Outsiders, which is a podcast that I do every week at videogameoutsiders.com, and from some of my other podcasting friends like Chip from the B-Team podcast. He sent me a video from a Giants game, like today. So anyway, stay tuned for that at the end of the video. Okay, so why don't we get started here? The first thing I want to talk about is the power. You know, how do I turn these games on? Because actually people ask me this a lot. I know I covered it in a video before, but let me show you up here. I have up here actually 4 20-amp circuits, and each one has about 8 games on it or so. And so when I want to turn the basement on and off, I turn all these switches on and then all of them off. And it's actually great to have the switches at the top of the stairs, so you don't have to go all the way in the basement to turn the games off when you're done. So in this way you can also open the door and kind of see, oh wow, the games are on or off before I go to bed. So now I got some kind of posters and stuff hanging up in here. This is kind of the entrance into the arcade. And usually it's not this well lit. Usually I keep all the lights off because I kind of like the dark feeling. But when I'm doing the videos, I gotta have light because you guys won't be able to see anything. All right, so the first game that's down here is Tempest. I'm gonna kind of turn this spotlight off. Tempest is a great Atari vector game. This is actually a cabaret version, and these are kind of, I don't know if they're hard to find, but they're harder to find than the full-size version, and I really wanted a cabaret version of Tempest, and it's just a great game. It's a very hard game though. I'm just not good at it, but it's the cabaret version. Over here is the Ice Cold Beer. This is a Taito game. This game is very popular with kids that come down here. The kids love this game. It's a mechanical game. You should really check out the video I have for this. And the object is basically to get the ball into the lit hole, and you just move these sticks left and right. It's a very kinetic kind of game, I guess, and a lot of fun. You should definitely check out my video for that. Let me lose these balls here because this game will start going crazy if I don't. And then next to it, I have my Arachnid. This is an English Mark Dart Super 6+2. Great, the game's gonna freak out now. Hang on, Ice Cold Beer is freaking out. All right. You know, if this game doesn't know where the balls are, it starts like just going into overtime trying to fix itself. It's really annoying. So, all right, anyway, this is a Arachnid Super 6+2 dartboard. I actually picked up 2 of these for 50 bucks. Neither one worked, and I kind of took them both and made a working one. This thing's a great dartboard. This is also great for parties. Admittedly, I don't play it that much, but when people are over, it's a really fun thing to have. This is kind of like my bar corner. You know, I got Ice Cold Beer, I got the dartboard, and of course I have a Golden Tee. You know, these are all kind of games, at least the darts and Golden Tee, that I used to always encounter in bars, you know, like in the mid to late 90s, and even now, I mean, you see Golden Tees everywhere. So I had to get a Golden Tee. This is a Golden Tee 4. I actually have a switcher kit in here, so it will switch from Golden Tee, and you push this button, and then it goes to Silver Strike Bowling, which is another great bar arcade game. But yeah, Golden Tee's a lot of fun. If you're gonna get one of these, you know, you can actually get Golden Tees for like, oh, I don't know. I mean, $300-400 bucks, and then you can get the complete upgrade. So they're not that expensive if you look around. And then here's my Frogger. This is a complete restore I did. I actually spent a lot of time on this one. I had about like, at one time, 4 or 5 Frogger cabinets. I ended up basically just kind of taking parts from all of them and making the best one. And then the rest of them I gave to my friends or sold some of them. But Frogger is a great classic game. I love like iconic games like this, like Frogger and Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. I know when you start collecting, it's kind of easy to get kind of like, you know, chasing after these grails, you know, but a lot of times I find the grails aren't really the best playing games. The common ones like Pac-Man and Frogger, Miss Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Galaga. I mean, those games are so fun. I I want to have really all of those games first, and then start looking at like the rare stuff. So Frogger to me is one of those kind of staples. You got to have that. And the next to it here is one of the rare games, but this one's an exception because this game is fun as hell. This is Zookeeper. This is another great title game that was released, 1982? And it is probably one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. It's just a lot of fun. It's a very unique kind of gameplay. I think this game kind of came out, actually I don't have it on free play. Anyway, this game came out, I guess they say kind of late, and arcades were kind of dying. I never really had a chance in the arcades because people just weren't as interested in playing games as much in '82, or there was just an oversaturation of stuff. So I don't know, that's the story I always hear about this game, but I love Taito's Zookeeper. It's a fantastic game. And the next to it's another one of my top 5 games, and that is Atari's Pole Position. My God, to me this is like the greatest arcade driving game ever. What I like about it, I think the most, is that the game ends. You have a finite amount of time to get your high score, and I just think that that's kind of brilliant, because once you get to the end of the race, the game's over. You can't play anymore. So the high score for this game is somewhere around 67,000 points, and I can get like 64,000, 63, something like that. But to go from 63 to 67 is a huge hurdle. I mean, you have to be flawless, and so it's just a very challenging game because of that. And next to that is Track and Field, which is another great game. This is an awesome, like, kind of party game. You can play up to 4 players on Track and Field, and it's one of these button mashing games. I don't know if you guys play this like on the NES and stuff, where you basically hit these buttons as fast as you can and run as fast as you can. You have all these kind of Olympic events, there's the 100-meter dash, there's the hurdles, there's pole vaulting. It's just a fun game. And this one is one that I restored with help from my friend Mark Cartouche, but I have a pretty bitchin' nice Track and Field. I actually put blue T-molding on it, which originally I think I had black, was it? And I didn't like how that looks. So I put blue, and I think it looks pretty sharp. Next to that is a Mario Brothers wide body. And this one is wider than your standard Nintendo cabinet, but it's a 2-player game where you can play cooperatively or competitively. And it's a great game. This is an awesome specimen too. And you can always tell a Mario Brothers wide body in a photo next to like another dedicated Nintendo cabinet, because the Mario, the wide body, always has the speaker grill dead nuts in the center. And if you look over here at Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong, that speaker grill is offset to the left. So if you see photos on Craigslist or eBay and you're not sure if it's a conversion or an original wide body, look for that speaker grill. Next to that is another kind of rarer game, and this is Mad Planets, which was a Gottlieb game. And this game is just crazy fun. It's got some awesome sounds. Let me turn this light off here. It's got some awesome sounds. A really neat unique control scheme with this dial that spins, and a flight stick for firing. And basically, the planets, for whatever reason, they're mad. They're mad at you, and you have to kill them planets. So that's Mad Planets by Gottlieb. Great game. Next to that is another kind of rare game. Turn the light on here. This is Discs of Tron. Now I have the upright version, and there are basically 2 versions of this game. There is what they call the environmental Discs of Tron, which is a cabinet that you kind of get inside, and it's almost like a photo booth or something, and you're inside the cabinet. Well, this is the upright version. I don't actually have room for those kind of cockpit versions of games. So the upright suits me just fine. The only big difference between the upright and the sit down version is that the environmental version has a speech in it where Sark is actually talking to you. This version does not do that, but you know what? I don't really miss it, and it fits in my arcade. And next to the Discs of Tron is Burger Time, and Burger Time to me is just another one of those iconic games. I mean, this character, Peter Pepper, I love him. The gameplay is simple, but it's just a great little game, and basically you're trying to make burgers. It's a great little, cute little game. And you are Peter Pepper here, and you're basically dropping the pieces of the burger down, the lettuce, the meat, the bun, and you're being chased by hot dogs and eggs. Go figure. I guess in Japan, eggs are like a big deal on hamburgers, so that's why there's an egg in this game. So that is Burger Time. And then next to that is Kicks. Yes, I'm calling it Kicks with a K. I know when I did a video review of this, everyone was correcting me and saying that the Q is pronounced K. So it is Kicks. This is another great Tato game. You know, the Tato Kicks and also Zookeeper over there are two of the harder games to keep working. It's funny, actually, I just before I started filming, fixed my Zookeeper because it was freaking out. They have 4116 RAM in it, which are kind of crappy, and there's lots of connector issues, but it's usually the RAM that gives me the headaches with these games. But Kicks is a neat little puzzle game. It's a very unique game with actually pretty neat sound effects. And basically you're trying to contain the kicks, which is that little thing right there. And if he touches your line when you're drawing, you die. Check it out, I got a video of that. And then next to it is Donkey Kong Jr., which is the sequel to Donkey Kong. Now, I love Donkey Kong Jr. I love Donkey Kong 3. Donkey Kong 3 is actually not down here. It's at my buddy Dan's house. I'm letting him borrow that for the winter while I have Kicks down here. But Jr. is the second game in the series. And basically this time you play as Donkey Kong's kid who's trying to rescue Donkey Kong because Mario has captured Donkey Kong this time. And the difference between Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. cabinet-wise, well, Donkey Kong is blue and Jr. is orange, and Donkey Kong 3 was actually a kit only, and you'll see it a lot of times in blue, orange, and red cabinets. I actually have mine in a blue. And then next to Jr., of course, is my favorite game of all time still, and that is Donkey Kong. And this is actually the first game that I picked up, and it's going to be the last one that I ever get rid of because I love this game so much. And in here I actually have the if you hold down the 1 and 2 player buttons, it says press jump to switch to Jumpman Returns. And so I've got the sequel, which was made by a programmer recently in the last few years named Jeff Kozlowski or something like that. This guy basically made a spiritual sequel to Donkey Kong called Donkey Kong 2. And it's a little mod that you put on the high score daughter board that goes on the main PCB. And it's a terrific little mod. It's a game as tough as nails though. So it's got both games, Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong 2. Next to that is my little JAMA cabinet, and this is a 3-comb Z-back they call it. It's kind of a Dynamo style cabinet. I believe originally this game was a Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, or maybe just Street Fighter 2. In it now I have Street Fighter Alpha 2, and I also have Atari's Tetris, and I actually have a JAMA switcher installed in here. So if you press these two buttons, it'll switch from Street Fighter Alpha 2 and then also to Tetris. I know I had a lot of people telling me in my video, boy, that's kind of an odd combination, Tetris and Street Fighter in one cabinet. Yeah, it is, but you know what? I've made this cabinet so much more useful because I think if it only had one of those games, this cabinet would not be down here. So since it has two, a game that me and the guys can play, Street Fighter Alpha 2, and then a game my wife loves, Tetris, the game's here. It's so much more useful, and I have Mike's Arcade switcher in here, and it's a really great product. Anyway, next to that is Atari's Star Wars. This is a vector game. I have an Amplifone monitor in here, and also what they call Clay Cowgill's ESB kit. What that means is that it has two games. It has Star Wars and it also has Empire Strikes Back. I have a video of both of those, and you basically switch games by going in the coin door. There's a little switch in there. Now with Clay's kit, they kind of recommend that you don't do that when the power's on, because you can lose high scores, and it's just kind of a hard, weird, goofy reset for it. But here, I'm going to do it anyway. So if we go in the coin door, I can turn the light on actually. And you can see in here, there is a little switch that's been added, and if I hit that, it then switches to Empire Strikes Back, just like that. And Empire Strikes Back, though, I don't really like it. I mean, it's okay. It's just nowhere near as good as the original Star Wars game. I'm kind of really into Star Wars, even more so lately. But Empire Strikes Back's cool. It's cool to have it in the same game, but to me, it's just nowhere near as good as Star Wars. Actually, I'm going to change it back. All right. Okay, here we go. Next here is Revenge from Mars, which is an outstanding pinball machine released in 1999 by Bally Williams. Now, if you guys really should check out the documentary Tilt, The Battle to Save Pinball, and it's all about this machine and this Pinball 2000 technology. And basically, you know, Williams and Bally told the programmers, you know, or the designers, listen guys, you need to do something different. Pinball is dying. If you don't come come up with something new and unique, we're gonna shut you down. And so these guys went to the drawing board, and Pat Lawler and George Gomez, they came up with this kind of holographic reflecting image over the playfield. So when you're playing the game, it actually looks like, you know, you're shooting for targets that are hovering over the playfield. And it's a really cool technology. I mean, it's actually a very simple technology. All it is there's a monitor up here, and then the playfield glass, the back part is coated with this kind of like transparent mirror coating, so it actually reflects the image. Very cool. You guys should check out my video for that, Revenge from Mars. And also check out that documentary, Tilt, the Battle to Save Pinball. And next to it here is one of my favorite pinball machines, believe it or not, and that's Bally's NBA Fast Break. And I just love the theme of this game. I think that it's got a lot of toys. It's a very fun game to play. The sound and everything is great on it. And you know what? It's a very late model Bally pin with a dot matrix display. Typically, pinballs from this era are very, very expensive. I mean, it's very easy these days to spend $4,000 to $8,000 on late model Bally's. Now this one came out in what, 97 I think it was, and then 96. So that's a very late model Williams. I mean, they shut their doors in 99, 2000, and so you can pick up one of these for $1,500 ish, and it's just as good, if you ask me, than any other game from that era. It's just that the theme is a turnoff for a lot of people, but this is a very good George Gomez game, and actually the scoring is pretty unique. It scores pinball scores. You can also score with pinball scores too, but I have it set up right here to score with pinball scores. So you play against your buddy, and you guys, you might beat them by 2 points or 4 points instead of beating them by 50,000 points or 50 million points on a standard pinball scoring machine. Anyway, it's a really great game, and check out my video. I can't say enough about NBA Fast Break. Now I know that some people say it's too easy, but you know what? I'm not really like a pinball master, so to me it's just right. And you know what's cool too is if you get 2 of these, you can put them side by side and link them together and play head to head, which is really neat. Alright, next to that is Whirlwind, which is another favorite of mine. This is a Pat Lawler game. It's probably Pat Lawler's kind of, I think, breakthrough game. It seems like a lot of the shots that he figured out on this game, he ended up recycling later on his other games. You'll see some very similar shots on here that Addams Family has, or Roadshow, or even like Family Guy or something. You'll see that he kind of developed his style, I think, in this game, and I really like this game. It's a really neat theme. I actually like the artwork and the sound a lot. It's John Yowsey who did the artwork. The big feature of this pin is that it has a fan on top. So when you're trying to lock the when you're in a lock mode for multi-ball, the fan is going, and it's kind of exciting. And also during multi-ball, the fan's going. So basically it's a tornado themed game, and it's a lot of fun. I just like the whole package. It's actually surprisingly deep game, I think. There's actually a lot to it. And it kind of has almost like a wizard mode. If you're actually able to complete each one of these, you go into like this kind of wizard mode where all of them are lit. So you can see here, upper jets are on, score 500,000, extra ball on, 3 bank targets, like quick multi-ball. If you're able to light all of these, you'll then, which basically starts a mode, you'll then start a final mode which has all of these going at one time, and it's really cool actually. Next to that is Moon Patrol, which has decided tonight to start freaking out. You see this? The monitor's red. This actually just started tonight. Actually, it was doing this a few months ago, and I thought I fixed it, and then I come down tonight, and now it's freaking doing it again. I put a cap kit on it. I replaced the red transistor on the neck board, and it hasn't done it in a couple months, and now tonight's doing it. I know there's some other transistors on the main board that drive red, or worst case, my tube is going. So anyway, Moon Patrol is a great game. This was a game that kind of blew my mind when I was a kid because of the graphics. It's got like this, I don't know, is it parallax scrolling, where you have basically a foreground and a background, and they're both scrolling at different speeds. So it really gives this illusion of depth, because everything is, there's basically 3 layers, the foreground, the midground, and the background. Look how it's freaking out. Something is not happy on that. I really hope it's not the tube. But yeah, that's Moon Patrol. It's Williams Moon Patrol, and this thing is in actually pretty great shape. It's 100% original. Very nice looking game. Next to that is Paperboy, which was another favorite of mine when I was younger. And in this game, what's cool about this game, you know, the games that have unique controls like this, you know, handlebars. You can't do that in MAME. You can't, where are you gonna get handlebars for your computer? So this kind of game is, to me, like some of the best arcade games because you can't do this anywhere else. And in this game, you are the Paperboy, and you're basically riding your bicycle here, delivering papers to your customers, and you basically want to deliver them to your subscribers, and then the people who don't subscribe to your house, you want to basically destroy their house with the papers by breaking their windows and stuff. And this is just a great little Atari gem, and that is Paperboy. And then next to that, I have a Williams multi-game. This actually has the J-Rock PCB, and J-Rock's like a guy that makes these boards, programmer, and it's actually a pretty unique little board. It actually is running on the original CPU, so it's not emulation. It's running in the original, you know, the ROMs, you know, on the original hardware, but in a very modern form factor. I think it's FPGA that's running the whole thing. This was originally a Bubbles cabinet. I actually bought this on Craigslist for like 50 bucks. Someone converted it to Vigilantes, and so I had this Williams cabinet that was painted black and turned into something else. So I decided to make this a multi-Williams. It's a pretty great game. For the most part, I only play Robotron. I'm often tempted to like just get rid of this and get a dedicated Robotron, but Robotron plays actually very well on this, and I have Robotron joysticks. But if you're to press 1 and 2 player here, it'll take you to the main menu, and you can see all the games that are on here. It's got Defender, Stargate, Robotron, Joust, Bubbles, Splat, Blaster, Sinistar, and a setup menu. And you know, it's got some pretty unique games, like, you know, Blaster is a rather, it's kind of actually part of the Robotron, I don't know if it's a trilogy or quadrilogy, is that a word? But I think like Defender and Stargate and Robotron and Blaster are all kind of tied together, and Blaster, I believe, is the last final game in that chapter. But yeah, it's a pretty cool game. J-Rock did a great job with that multi-board. Next to that, next to here, we have a dedicated Bally Midway. This is the first Tron game. I also have discs of Tron over there. Of course, this was based on the movie, and you guys probably saw this cabinet in Tron Legacy that came out in the last couple years. Tron is probably one of the greatest looking cabinets ever. Makes tremendous use of black lights and glowing. Can't really tell now because I have the lights on, but this game in a dark room, it is the center of attention. And the gameplay, you know, a lot of people don't like the gameplay. I actually happen to like the game a lot. And there's basically 4 different modes in this game. There is the light cycles, there is the tanks, there's the MCP cone, and then there's the grid bugs, which like these little spider guys. And I actually think that the game is really fun. It is a very hard game though, because it ramps up quick, and I can only get so far. I think my high score, I don't even know what it is. But anyway, next to that is Sega's Outrun, which is, to me, one of the other better driving games out there. I used to have Turbo. I mean, I think kind of like that's the top 3 from the 80s, the mid-80s, the mid to early 80s. Pole Position, Outrun, and Turbo. And Turbo came out first, and then Pole Position came out and just annihilated Pole Position. I mean, Pole Position annihilated Turbo, and then Outrun came out and just kind of outclassed Pole Position for a lot of people. It was just more realistic, and the controls just felt, I mean, like in Pole Position, the steering wheel goes all the way around. Well, a real car doesn't do that. You know, this doesn't go all the way around. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of very 80s with this Ferrari Testarossa. You got a girl. It's kind of Miami Vice. It was a really cool game back in the day. This is actually a cabaret version. It's a little bit smaller. I actually prefer this version over the full-size upright. The monitor, I think, is the same size, but it's a much smaller cabinet. The standard Outrun is kind of a really big cabinet. Next to that here is Q*bert. Another iconic game. Q*bert's fantastic. And this is a pretty nice original dedicated. I actually have a reproduction marquee with the swearing. This originally was the marquee they were going to use, and they put it out in the arcades, and everyone's like, what the hell game is this? I don't know what it is. It's just a bunch of random symbols. And you know, the name was actually down there on the control panel, but people didn't know what it was called, and it was a little too artsy maybe for the mainstream, so they went back and changed this marquee to have the logo. But I actually prefer the original marquee. I actually have the multi Q*bert kit in here. and it's pretty decent. I actually really only play Q*bert. So if we hold both buttons here, it goes to a menu. And it should have actually, I think I just started Q*bert. So we'll hold both buttons. And then it goes to the multi-Q*bert menu. And we've got Q*bert, Q*bert's Cubes, faster, harder, more challenging Q*bert, some weird game that I never even played, a baseball game, which sucks, Mellow Yellow Q*bert, 7-Eleven, a game called Tiles. So, it's pretty cool. I mean, I really only care about the original Q*bert. Q*bert Cubes, though, is pretty cool. Next to that is Tapper, another one of these games that is very hard to replicate and MAME because it's got these little taps, you know, just like in a bar. And basically you're this little guy serving drinks to patrons as they're coming into the bar, and you basically need to serve them as fast as you can before they get to the end of the bar and beat your ass up. So great, awesome cabinet too. They made it look like it's a bar, you know, it's got a footrest, it's got cup holders on the side with this kind of brass type finish. This is the Budweiser version, by the way. There's actually two versions of this. There's the Budweiser, which they were hoping to put into bars or adult type places, and there's also a root beer tapper, which doesn't have these kind of appointments, but it's still a nice game, but you're basically serving root beer instead of Budweiser. But if you're gonna get one of these, Budweiser is the way to go. Okay, over here I have a Mega Touch. This is a Mega Touch Force. I actually have the 2010.5 in here. This game gets played a lot in the basement, a lot. Everyone loves this. My wife loves it. The kids love it. It's got card games and puzzle games and quiz games. It's just a really fun thing. You'll see these in bars a lot. I love Tri-Towers. You know, just simple little games. You got the TV going on up here, watching Food Network, and just play a little Mega Touch. Let's see, 6. So I have to go up or down. You know, I don't think I ever reviewed this Mega Touch. I never made a video for this. I think I'm gonna do that next. Anyway, you get the idea. It's got all kinds of great games. Next to that is the Neo Geo. This is a, they call the Big Red 4-slot, I guess. 4-slot meaning it's got 4 games in it. This game actually takes cartridges. And I actually have 3 cartridges in here and a multi-cart, 121, which is up right now. So this cartridge has 120 games in it. And it's actually a great cart. So let's pick a game. NAM 1975. I love that game. I used to play that in a bowling alley in Schaumburg, Illinois all the time. So we just selected NAM 1975. It's rebooting the Neo Geo, and now this will behave just like it's any other of the carts. And we can select games here with this button. So when it finishes its boot sequence, so this is Puzzle Bobble here. I also have Magician Lord. I have Neo Mr. Do, which is a kind of a cool game. And if we push it again, we have NAM 1975. So yeah, the Neo Geo 4-slot is a great cabinet. I actually have a little memory card down there to save your progress in games. It's pretty cool. Next to that is Missile Command. This is a great classic Atari game. The only thing about this game that I don't like, and by the way, this is your ultimate Cold War kind of game. Basically, missiles are firing down on these cities, and in a very Reagan-esque kind of way, you're going to use your kind of Star Wars defense program to destroy the missiles before they get to the cities. Great game, really captures the 80s and the Cold War. The thing about this game, though, is it's so hard. I mean, I hit the wall with this game so fast. I mean, like 3, 4, 5 levels in, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. It's just, the game, I cannot play it very long, and for me, it's one I'm kind of, my interest is waning with a little bit down here. Next to that is Asteroids Deluxe. I love Asteroids. If you're gonna get an Asteroids game, if you ask me, Deluxe is the one to get. Let me turn the light on here. What's cool about Deluxe, besides the cabinet and the artwork is so badass, it has like this really cool blacklight thing going on and a refracting mirror, just like Revenge from Mars. See, the monitor is actually down there, and it's projecting the image over this artwork, this blacklight artwork, and it looks like the game graphics are kind of, you know, floating in space, literally, over these asteroids, and it's really cool. And I think the gameplay in this, compared to regular Asteroids, is a little more interesting. It has like these little Death Star things that will come in and chase you later and stuff. But I love it. I love Asteroids. I mean, this is one of my older games down here. This is like 1980, and to me, it's the best Asteroids by far. All right, next to that is the Red Tent, the Nintendo versus Dual System. I actually just did a video recently for RBI Baseball What's great about this system is it's a multi-system where you can easily swap games out, and this is a cocktail version which has 2 monitors, 1 on each side, 2 sets of controls. Some games you can play head-to-head with people where each person has their own monitor and controls. Some games you just put any game you want on either side. Like right now I have Mock Rider on this side and RBI Baseball on this side. Alright, so guys, that's pretty much it for the basement. I tell you what, why don't we take a walk upstairs and I'll show you guys what's going on up there. Okay, we're upstairs. I actually have 2 games upstairs in the house. I have a Centipede Cabaret. This is an original dedicated Atari Centipede. It's the Cabaret version, which is a smaller cabinet. It actually has wood grain sides. I actually prefer this cabinet over the full-size one, although the full-size Centipede, the artwork is pretty great. But I just like these little Atari Cabarets because you can have, it comes with the full-size monitor, so you're really not giving up much. And you also, the game's smaller. It fits into a tighter little spot. I actually have a little light-up trackball in here, which is pretty slick. Centipede is a great game. And this actually has the multi-kit in it, so I have Centipede and Millipede in one. It's actually a Millipede PCB with a daughter board on it, and this is from Brazington. So if I press both of these buttons, it then switches quickly to Millipede. Both great games. Both, they're very similar games, but they really play and feel completely different. Millipede is a little more frantic, requires a different kind of skill to play it. Centipede is kind of a pure experience, not nearly as crazy, but equally as difficult. I mean, really, Centipede and Millipede are both pretty tough. All right, next set I have a original dedicated Miss Pac-Man cabinet, and what I did is I installed MAME in it, and I did it very tastefully, so don't judge me. This is a reproduction control panel right here, and I have the original control panel downstairs, and then I added some buttons. It's a reproduction, so who cares? A reproduction overlay. I actually bought an adapter. It's a JAMA to PAC adapter. It basically makes a Pac-Man cabinet JAMA, and I just plugged the computer into that. So it's got the original wiring harness and the original control panels tucked away, so I could convert this back to the original Miss Pac-Man in like 2 seconds. Nothing was cut or no harness was mangled or anything. So, and actually, it's funny. Yes, this is a MAME cabinet. However, the game that I play more than any other game on it is Miss Pac-Man. I mean, that's literally all I play on it. So, it's funny. I should just turn it back into a Miss Pac. But so I have my own little custom front end I made, John's Arcade. I put up a video for this a while ago, but I'm kind of proud of this. It's using Mala, and I have all the marquees showing up. When you select a game, it shows gameplay footage. So if we go through the list here, we've got Donkey Kong in there. We've got Gyrus, and it kind of shows the gameplay and the game as you're selecting it. Galaga, I love Galaga. So why don't we start Gyrus here? Press the button, and it makes those little sounds. And you know, it's MAME, so it's going to boot this kind of virtual PCB just like it would in real life. There's kind of a test pattern. And Gyrus. Now, there's kind of a shortcuts here to coin up. You press 1, player start, and this button to insert a quarter, and we just did. And you know, Gyrus is on my list of games to own. I'm desperately trying to find one. If you have a Gyrus for sale and you're on the East Coast, yeah, look me up. I'd be interested in that. So it's really cool. And then to get out of this, you press 1 and 2 to escape back to the main menu. And it's pretty good. I actually really do like this cabinet because it saves all the high scores. I can play horizontal and vertical games on it. Horizontal games, they're a little squished, but it's still playable. You know, if you're kind of itching to try something. I do this a lot where I come on here and like before I buy a game or something, I play the heck out of it in MAME and then go get the cabinet just to make sure it's one I really want to have in the basement. Galaga, I'd probably play Galaga and Miss Pac-Man the most on this. I've got a bunch of different categories, Namco System 1 games, all the different Pac-Man games. It's a lot of fun. Kid Nicky. Kid Nicky rocks. Do you remember that game? I played the hell out of this game on my NES, and it was just such a crazy game. Like, I would totally own a Kid Nicky arcade game. He's like this little radical ninja dude. Such an awesome game. But this is the kind of fun shit that you can play in MAME that, you know, where else are you going to play this if you don't play it in MAME? I mean, it's kind of preserving the history of these games. So, Anyway, there you have it. That is my little Miss Pac-Man meme and the centipede. Why don't we, you know what, I would take you guys to the garage, but there's no games out there. Everything's gone. So why don't we go down to the basement. All right, well, that's pretty much it. That is John's Arcade as of October 2012. Actually, you know what, hang on, let me just kind of show you guys like my little stash of parts, because you know what, I'm constantly working on this shit and fixing these things. It's actually, it's what the hobby becomes. You're just basically maintaining stuff. So here I've got a bunch of Nintendo versus PCBs. These are all to swap out for the red tent. I got a bunch of them here I got to go through. I've got monitor chassis and parts all over the place. You know, you just kind of start acquiring this shit. These are all kind of spare PCBs and stuff for my games. There's a couple Moon Patrols down there, or no, it's Jungle King. Those are Jungle Kings. So you just kind of start acquiring this shit, and it becomes, you know, you're kind of like a janitor. I feel like a janitor down here sometimes, but my goal is to just stay on top of stuff and keep it working, keep it working, keep it working. So here's the back of pole position. I actually keep the back door off of it to keep it cool. You can see kind of the voltage mods I did and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. This is kind of my mess back here. Everything's kind of hidden back here. I mean, it is a basement we're in still. So, but yeah, it's rather messy over here, isn't it? This is kind of the out of sight, out of mind area of the house. Anyway, there you guys have it. That is John's Arcade. Again, I want to thank you guys for subscribing to my little channel. Be sure to check out my podcast every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern at allgames.com. The podcast is called Video Game Outsiders. Our website is videogameoutsiders.com. And now, speaking of Video Game Outsiders, why don't you guys stay tuned here and watch these congratulatory videos from my podcasting friends, including Michelle. Michelle, go ahead.
Here's a look at what my hands are usually doing when John's talking about arcade stuff. Boredom. But you know, not today, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're here to congratulate John because he's a wonderful YouTube producer. He's on his 100th video and we really love it. We love it, John. We heart it. See, I can make stupid jokes and point to stuff and be wacky too, but nobody does it as good as you.
Hey John, it's your temporary coffee bitch VGO co-host Matt Bradford here, wishing you a very happy 100th episode. Congratulations on keeping the classic dream alive, and here's hoping you'll invite me over to your house to play someday, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Congratulations again, buddy, and here's looking forward to the next 100.
Hey John, it's Chip, and I'm coming to you live from the Meadowlands, home of the Super Bowl champion New York Giants. Anyways, congratulations on the 100th video, man. It looks awesome. Keep them up, and be sure to listen to the B Team. Talk to you soon, man.
Hey, it's Chris Gadgetman 007 from the B Team. Congratulations on hitting 100 videos, John.
Hello, John. Totally impressed by your 100th video. I'm a huge fan. I watch you all the time.
Congratulations. Hello. Oh, congratulations, John.
Hell of a job, John. Congratulations. Amazing.